es sagrada. No hay frontera ninguna que nos para. Migration is sacred for my people and all of our relations. But they set us up for hatred, taking men and making vagrants. It's so flagrant that my neighbor needs a flag to prove his favor to this nation that's disgracing all the people who are facing time in jail for immigration. I'm losing my patience. Because the Haitians only leaving, cause the US keep deceiving our people to believing that elections make them even, like democracy was even close to being what they seeing. In reality they flee into these cities without pity, cause we fit into a system that kicks them and depicts them as unworthy, when the truth is they would gladly go back if the US corporations didn't wage an attack, taking land and making plans to have our women use their hands to be exposed to chemicals and violent blows from their bosses, and the losses of their dignity is causeless. Forget they come across from countries paying debt, so kids don't even get social services. Americans give their pets. Place your bets on immigration, raising up this population from Latinos to the Asians. It's time that we be changing. Who got the power in their hands? Now's the hour to demand. The ones that work the land be the ones that make the plan. I'm calling you to make a stand. And if you think we're respected, go and check the voting record, or go down to the airport and watch who gets inspected. Our society's dissected, and that's how they keep us down. This is an invitation for us all to look around. Let's have a conversation, cause I wanna hear the sound. Our people making moves, are my people on the ground. My people making moves, our people on the ground. In the echo of my words, I pray that you have found a reason for believing in the need to stop the bleeding right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. La migración es sagrada. No hay frontera ninguna que nos para.
Thank you to the Peace Poets, Luaya. The Peace Poets are a collective of artists that celebrate, examine, and advocate for life through music and poetry. They hail from the Bronx and have been performing together since 2005. Thank you for kicking tonight off with such an uplifting performance. As the president of Worker Circle, I'm honored to be here representing this remarkable organization and with its long and illustrious history. As I begin my final year as president, I ask you to join me as members, donors, and activists as we carry our work forward together, make change, uphold our democracy, and work to build a better world. I'd like to recognize our sponsors tonight. We greatly appreciate your support and are glad that you're able to be with us tonight. I'd also like to thank our friends in the labor movement for joining the Labor Solidarity Committee for this benefit. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who helped make this evening a memorable event. As a lifetime labor leader and labor activist, it's my great pleasure that we are recognizing all frontline workers for their unwavering courage and during this global pandemic. And it's a special honor to be presenting our Heroes of the Workforce Arbiter Held Award to the New York Professional Nurses Union, the nurses of Lenox Hill Hospital, in recognition of their heroism and exceptional work and sacrifice during the pandemic. I'm especially happy that we have with us tonight Kathy Flynn, the president of NIPNU, and who's joining us this evening. Events such as this don't just happen. They don't come together overnight, and they don't come together without many hands. I'd like to thank the staff of the Worker Circle and the people who are here tonight doing the videoing and putting this whole thing together for their work during this event, and for the Worker Circle staff for their work during the past years. Finally, I want to thank Ann Tobick, our CEO, who's marking her 13th, her bas mitzvah year this year at the Worker Circle. Through Ann's leadership, the Worker Circle has remained steadfast in the fight for the dignity and economic rights of workers, for immigrant rights and racial justice. And we are the worldwide leader in the teaching of Yiddish. and is regularly called upon to speak at rallies, conferences, and advocacy events. And you've raised our profile, you've done remarkable work, and we're proud and grateful. And now, let me introduce Ann Toback to say a few words. Ann.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, President Rich Ramelt. And Shalom Aleichem. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and a Shanam Dank to everyone who has supported this event. Throughout this evening, we're going to be sharing updates about the social justice campaigns we're working on, our student activist training, and Yiddish cultural programs that all of your support and donations have helped fund and grow. All of your gifts are directly applied to help us expand our activist community and keep working to bring about real change in our world. All this is to say that we put your donations to very good use. As the CEO of the Workers' Circle, I am proud to carry forward our 121-year-old tradition of living our progressive values, of fierce activism for economic justice, civil liberties, and racial equity, and of bringing a caring commitment to those in need of support. We never forget that we're an organization founded by immigrant activists who came to the United States escaping violence and economic hardship. Activists who immediately took on punishing fights for living wage, safe workplace, the right to join a union, and more. Women and men whose hard work led to so many of the rights and privileges that we still benefit from today. In the names and inspiration of progressive activists, including John Lewis, A. Philip Randolph, Sidney Hillman, Rose Schneiderman, Clara Lemlich, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and the thousands of women and men whose names we don't know, but on whose shoulders we stand now. We commit to continue to be bold and to push back against the status quo. Our community will make good trouble, protesting injustice, and we commit to educating and mobilizing students and empowering them to be our next generation of change makers and leaders in our world. We're excited tonight to bring you inspiring and emotional stories from the nurses of Lenox Hill Hospital, people who saw firsthand the devastating impact of the global pandemic. One story will be read by award-winning actress Alfre Woodard, and one will be told by an ER nurse herself. As meaningful as we hope this evening will be for everyone, let's all remember that this is just one night of celebration. The work of these life-saving nurses and essential and frontline workers continues tomorrow and each day thereafter. We must recognize the never-ending labor and sacrifice of workers from all occupations, and we must commit to the long-term work to advocate for their well-being, their safe workplaces, and living wages for all. This and other activism we do follows in the tradition of our Jewish Eastern European immigrant founders. Our advocacy work is lifted up by our commitment to bringing forward their Yiddishkeit traditions through our Jewish cultural programming and our proud role as the largest provider of Yiddish education in the world. Even as we acknowledge that there's a lot of hard work in front of us, let's celebrate some of our victories tonight. This past year, our community took on tough campaigns and experienced real wins. In 2020, Workers' Circle members played an important role in equipping people of color in voter-suppressed states with critical information to exercise their right to vote. In partnership with the Center for Common Ground, we made thousands of calls that were coordinated with mobilization efforts by the NAACP, Mi Familia Vota, and Black Voters Matter. We even had some star power from Mark Hamill, who helped us reach more than 250,000 people in our phone banking efforts. Today, our activism is focused on the National Campaign for Comprehensive Protection of Voting Rights. We're urging Congress, first we urge Congress to pass the For the People and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and now we're fighting for the passage of the newly framed Freedom to Vote Act. We're engaging our members in direct meetings with senators, weekly phone banking, and on-the-ground activism that will continue until legislation that protects our democracy and our right to vote is passed. And most important, we are continuing our mission to train our next generation of young activists to stand up, to speak out, and become tomorrow's social justice leaders. Our Youth Stand Up for Justice and College Network advocacy programs teach social justice activism and provide young people with the skills to lead our progressive movement. We know that they can't change the world without strategy, endurance, and a lot of hard work. So far, we have connected our activist tradition with thousands of young people. They're joining us on the front lines of our work to fight voter suppression, and our college network is organizing students across the country in support of the Green New Deal. Thank you again to everybody who's donated to tonight's event, and I want to say a special thank you to our sponsors. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a video that shows our activists in action.
Whether it's climate change or any issue that you want to name.
Marching for voter rights, and I'm proud to be part of Workers' Circle.
Hi, welcome back. It's with the greatest of pleasure that I introduce the award-winning actress and human rights advocate, Alfre Woodard. You might recognize her from her many TV appearances or the more than 50 movies that she has appeared in, including 12 Years a Slave, The Lion King, Primal Fear, and Star Trek First Contact. Tonight, Alfre will read NIPNU nurse Lenka Virakova's account of her experience during the worst days of the pandemic. But before I turn the program over to Alfre, I want to share with you how the reading came about. I have the honor to serve on the board of the Writers Guild Initiative, which is the foundation of the Writers Guild of America East. At the WGI, we run writing workshops that connect television and screenwriter mentors to communities that are often marginalized or invisible to others. And in these workshops, we teach community members the tools of effective writing and storytelling. In the past year, we determined that we should work with groups of essential workers to share the stories of their critical work during the pandemic. And I connected the NIPNU nurses with the Writers Guild Initiative for 2 intensive workshops, and hopefully with more to come. It's one of these nurses' stories that you will hear now. I want to thank everyone at the Writers Guild Initiative and Alfre Woodard, and our deepest thanks to Lenka Virakova. And now, please hear the narrative of NIPNU nurse Lenka Virakova.
Thank You for the Shower by Lenka Virakova. Dear Woody and Helena, thank you for the shower. Your shower was one of the nicest gifts I ever received. A gift from somebody I barely met, an act of kindness that made me feel I am not alone. In the gray mornings, I was alone, walking on dark, deserted streets, listening to the echo of my footsteps. Almost alone on the subways when the train could not come fast enough. A disheveled man screaming, I want to hurt somebody. I want to hurt somebody bad. I pretend I'm not there, looking down on my shoes, focused on my breath. Both of us wish we could be home, safe and warm. I tried not to touch anything, tried to make it through the day with an invisible radiating smile, assuring those around me that we got this. Your shower was the only place I could be honest, where I could stop being a hero and finally cry, where I washed my day away. In isolation room 908, my face shield fogging, holding the phone receiver to the ear that could no longer hear. Close by so everyone could express their love, taking turns speaking in a language I do not know, and at the same time wishing I did not understand. Voices trying to reach the motionless body. Words of love and encouragement, hopes for recovery, reminding the ear of good times when people could hug and laugh together. Caught in this moment that is not mine. So intimate that I am trying not to be here. My hand feeling heavy holding the phone receiver, my eyes wandering around the room and finally settling on the side table with the photograph of a smiling man surrounded by a beautiful woman, beaming young men and many, many children. Why is this photograph here next to the motionless body, gently rocked by mechanical breaths? Did he hear us? I think so. I saw him smile. In the shower, I washed my lies away, cried for those I had to be strong for that day. I cried because I lied to my parents that I am safe and protected. I cried for those being alone in their last hour. Cried that I could not hug my coworker when his patient died. And the shower drain swallowed it all. I washed my day away, washed away my own fear of dying so I could wake up with a new one tomorrow. Your shower was the highlight of my days, where I washed away my sorrow, fear, and anger, and then put on a warm, fuzzy bathrobe straight from the hissing radiator and tiptoed upstairs. I felt clean to hug my man and face his question. How was your day today? Your shower was the nicest gift I ever received from a stranger. It became my sanctuary, my place to hide, my place to restore myself. In there, I felt less alone. I knew that we are in this together, and I can do this.
Hi, Mark and Sandy Rogan here. First and foremost, we would like to offer our sincerest thank yous to all the first responders who put their lives and expertise on the line every day. And in particular, we'd like to congratulate the New York Professional Nurses Association for receiving the Workers' Circle inaugural Heroes of the Workforce Award.
And we just want you to know that in 2019, when Seth and Mark got their awards at Workers' Circle, they were both honored and proud and really happy to be so connected to all the work that you do. And may you continue to do all the wonderful things that you do now and in the future. So
Workers' Circle works tirelessly both locally and globally to make all our lives a better place to live.
Hi. Congratulations to all of the nurses and the frontline workers who are being celebrated. You are celebrated every day of our lives because you make our lives better. And congratulations to the Professional Nurses Union for winning the Workers' Circle Award. You are essential to the betterment of our lives, and we appreciate you.
Dear liebhabers van Yiddish, dear friends of Yiddish, my name is Kola Baradul and I am the director of Yiddish programming at the Workers' Circle, Arbetering. I feel so fortunate to be part of the Workers' Circle, an organization that is now 121 years young and is making Yiddish flourish again through extensive programming. We are one of the largest providers of Yiddish language and culture classes in the world. Last semester, more than 450 students from 32 states and 28 countries registered for one of the 43 classes we offer. We have an international team of 23 talented instructors from 7 countries. It is hard to believe that in 2014, we started our first online classes as one of the first few online providers with 40 students. And each year, our registration has skyrocketed. We are working hard to keep growing so that the unique and cherished treasure, the Yiddish language and culture, will be passed from door to door, from generation to generation. There is one silver lining to the terrible pandemic of COVID-19. Suddenly, the online tools we had been using were greatly improved, and so many people around the world learned to Zoom. That had made our Yiddish programs even more popular and accessible globally. And now we're able once again to begin meeting in person. The annual trip to Yiddishland, reconvened at the Workers' Circle Camp Kindering this summer, was fully booked with strict public health protocols, and we were very happy but cautious Yiddishists. It was one of the best trips to Yiddishland ever, with many people already reserving for the next year. But you don't need to have to wait for the summer. We invite you all Yiddish classes participants, trip to Yiddishland guests, and other liebhabers from Yiddish to our annual Yiddish Hanukkah party on December 4 and to the winter trip to Yiddishland on February 6. Zoom details to follow. And as they say in Yiddish, bleibt mir gesund. Stay healthy.
It's now my great pleasure to introduce Workers' Circle Yiddish songwriting instructor and celebrated musician, Daniel Kahn. Daniel is also a superb actor, and I hope many of you had the opportunity to see him in the Folkspiena's Yiddish Fiddler on the Roof. Daniel was born in Detroit, and he now comes to us from Berlin. Much of his work is inspired by the struggles of Jewish labor activists in the 1900s and his own commitment to making the world a better place. Daniel's going to be followed by Lisa Billings, a nurse at Manhattan's Lenox Health Greenwich Village. I had the honor of meeting Lisa at the NIPNU office this summer. She spoke with me about her experience working in the emergency room during the height of the pandemic. It was an incredible discussion. I hope that you'll get a sense of her power and commitment and the way she was able to work through such adversity and trauma. Lisa is an inspiration to us all here, and we think about her all the time and really It's a wonderful example of why this award is so important and why the nurses are so important to us all. Tonight, you're going to hear a few minutes of her telling the story of her experience during the worst days of this global crisis. So please join me in welcoming Daniel Kahn and then hearing from Lisa Billing.
Shalom Aleichem. My name is Daniel Kahn, and I'm a longtime chava, friend and comrade of the Ring Workers Circle. I'm also one of the instructors of the Lied Arbeiter Warstadt, the Song Worker Workshop, creating new songs, working with Yiddish, and it's a real honor for me, a kavod, to be performing for you tonight. It's especially meaningful to me since the donations to this event will help empower younger people to do advocacy work and organize and fight for social justice, fighting things like systemic racism and supporting the Green New Deal. So thank you for your support. And I want to send out a special großen herzlichen Mazel Tov to the New York Professional Nurses Union for receiving this year's, tonight's Heroes of the Workforce, the Arbeiter Helden Award. Your nurses were among the first to see the devastation of this pandemic in the United States, and we thank you for your incredible efforts and sacrifices in giving people the best care. So I want to dedicate this song to you. This is an old song from the 1890s written by David Edelstadt, but I learned it from an amazing woman named Adrienne Cooper, who worked for many, many years for the Arbeiter Ring, and many of you may have known her. We miss her dearly, and this was one of her anthems. So this is for Adrienne Hannah Cooper and for you. Arbeiter freuen. Arbeiter freuen, leidende freuen, freuen, wo's schmachten in Häus und Fabrik, wo's steht ihr von Weiten, wo's helft ihr mit Bäuen, dem Tempel von Freiheit, von menschlichen Glück, helft uns droben dem Banner, dem Reuten, vorwärts durch Sturm, durch finstere Nacht, helft uns Wahrheit und Licht zu verspringen, zwischen wissende Helden. Hardworking women, powerful women, women who labor in factories and homes. Let's join in their fight, for it's only beginning. No one should stand in the struggle alone. Let us all carry the red flag together, weathering storms in the dark of the night, building a temple of freedom forever, helping each other to carry the light. How many daughters, sisters, and mothers have given their lives for the things they believe? Mighty as lions, they fight for each other, for freedom and justice and equality. We'll carry the banner as sisters and brothers, waking the world to the light of the day, as friends and companions, as comrades and lovers. Arbeiter freuen, show us the way. Freiheit, war Gleichheit, war unser Prinzip. Ja, da, 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 Seid gesund und stark.
My name is Lisa Billings. I've been a nurse for 12 years now. It's been kind of a mixed experience for me as a nurse. In the beginning, it was really very scary. We didn't know. First, it was, oh, this whole thing is going to go away really fast. It's no big deal. And then people everywhere just got sick. Everyone got sick. I got sick. And I was at home. I got sick the end of March. And people at work, they were starting to really see people getting intubated, getting sick, dying. There was a shortage on supply. We were fairly lucky. Our hospital didn't have that issue. To a minimal degree we did, but it was fairly good for us. But I know that hospitals were losing staff. My coworkers were doing overtime at other hospitals. So I was really scared for them. My brother passed away from COVID May 3rd of 2020, and he was healthy. He really was. He would go to the gym once a week, actually once or twice a week. He played tennis. Of all of us, he was probably the healthiest. There's 6 of us all together. So when we brought him to the hospital, I just thought 1 day, 2 days, maybe 3, he'll come out of the hospital like me, and we'll go back to normal, and that's the way it goes. And 1 day turned to 3 to 5 to 2 weeks, and then we went on the ventilator, and we just kind of hoped every day it'll get better. Oh, today it'll get better. And so we just kind of hoped that things would continue to get better, but it didn't. Within the third week, we had a feeling that it was not going the right way, but we were hopeful, and we decided as a family how to care for him and when to say goodbye. That experience I took to work with me. I couldn't, our policy states you can't let families come in. You can't, there was no visitors or whatever. And sometimes, the family member would hang out in the lobby, or like they would come real quick and they would be in the lobby. I work in an ER. And I kind of broke that policy once in a while and said, come in, let's just say goodbye. Because I didn't know. I didn't want them to not be able to go in, say hello again, say goodbye again, or you could come home tomorrow or you could never come home. It's strange because people tell you you're a hero, but you don't want to be a hero. You don't want to be the one to hold the phone. And it's really intrusive. It's really to be the one in the room listening to the son say, Mom, you've been a great mom. You've been amazing to me. I really thank you for it. And it's really hard to hear stuff like that, and you want to leave the room, but at the same time you can't, because you're the link between home and that patient's room. So that to me has been, I think, the most impactful part of this, is that you are the link for the families, and you are, despite having, they just see this is what they see. But you hope that this is enough to give them a little sense it's going to be okay. We're going to take care of you. And it's hard to even hear people when they have an N95, a mask on. So it's not, I feel like, my coworkers and I have really tried to be that person. I can't say enough about the union, the NIPNU, during this pandemic. They were really there for us. And I will give credit also to my hospital, to our system, that they really watched out for us. And NIPNU was there to kind of ask her questions. What is our situation with PPE? What does the hospital look like? It's an honor to be part of this organization, and it's really amazing the work that they've done. So I think Eileen and everybody in the staff, they understand that we do appreciate them, and I hope they know that anyway.
Welcome back, and thank you all again for joining us tonight. We're about to do our award presentation, but since this is virtual, I want to share with you that after the award presentation, we have some more special guests, some more performers, and please stay with us because you will be surprised and delighted. And now it's a moment that I've been waiting for, and I'm very happy to be presenting our award. During our benefits in the past, the Workers' Circle has honored people who have shown an exemplary commitment to pursuing social justice, to being bold and speaking out for those who can't speak for themselves. In 2018, we honored Tony Kushner. In 2019, we honored Seth and Mark Rogan. And this year, we're honoring a very special kind of hero. As a New Yorker, I can't ever forget the early months of the pandemic, the sounds of ambulances in our otherwise silent streets, the worry and fear. And then at 7 p.m. every evening, the sound of people clapping and yelling out their windows, cheering on the sidewalks. Our daily expression of gratitude to the essential and frontline workers who were out there keeping us safe at the risk of their own lives. This went on for months as New Yorkers were faced with curfews, lockdowns, and social isolation. I, and I'm sure many of you watching tonight, looked forward to that moment each evening when we joined our community and gave thanks to the essential and frontline workers. I remember thinking then, and I still think now, that we could never thank these heroes enough for all they did to keep so many of us safe and secure during such a terrifying time in our world. So it's with emotion and great appreciation for me tonight that we have the chance to directly thank some of the workers for whom we'll be forever grateful. Their courage didn't end after the 7 p.m. clapping was over, and our appreciation for them should never end either. In addition to thanking these amazing workers, we also want to continue our tradition of presenting a special award tonight. So it's with real pleasure that I present for the first time our Heroes of the Workforce Arbiterhelden Award to the New York Professional Nurses Union on behalf of the Workers' Circle. And before we hand over the award, I want to fully disclose that the executive director of NIPNU, Eileen Toback, is my sister. It was through my conversations with her during the pandemic that I became convinced that the NIPNU nurses were so deserving of this award. And it was through my admiration of the NIPNU nurses' courage, skill, and activism that led me to make the recommendation that they receive this award this year. I will never forget the morning of April of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, when Eileen texted me that the hospital had run out of oxygen tanks due to the overwhelming demand of their wall-to-wall COVID patients. And there was a life-saving oxygen truck on the way but delayed. I still remember I couldn't breathe myself. I felt like the air was caught as Eileen shared that the NIPNU nurses were deployed to every patient on a ventilator, and they were hand pumping oxygen for each critical care patient as they urgently awaited for that truck to arrive. I sat there overwhelmed as minutes to me felt like hours, and hours did pass, knowing that the nurses were manually administering oxygen to the sickest of patients. I can still remember the sense of relief when Eileen shared that the truck did arrive. I heard from Eileen daily about the challenges these nurses and all healthcare workers were dealing with just to provide basic care and comfort to their COVID patients, even as they fought to save lives and give them hope while risking their own lives, their own health. The Workers' Circle recognizes that during the pandemic, the nurses of Lenox Hill Hospital, Lenox Health Greenwich Village, and Manhattan Eye, Ear, and Throat Hospital continued to provide the highest level of care to all their patients, even as they were confronted with overwhelming COVID patient numbers, rationed PPE, the terrible burden of stepping in as surrogate loved ones to patients at their most vulnerable moments, and adapting to the changing understanding of COVID-19 treatment and care. During this global health crisis, NIPNU nurses also took actions to support all of our community and beyond, including actions for the Black Lives Matter movement and support for healthcare for all. This work is especially meaningful to all of us at the Workers' Circle as we ourselves participate in a national movement to end systemic racism in the United States. So, having said all of that, it is my great honor to present this award to the VP of NIPNU, Roy Milbauer, and he's joined by my sister, Eileen Toback. And here, Rich will now present our award. We'll do it together. Okay, and so in the Heroes of the Workforce, Arbiter held an award to the New York Professional Nurses Union today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you so very much. I humbly accept this award on behalf of the New York Professional Nurses Union. It's a great honor to be receiving to be the inaugural recipients of the Heroes of the Workforce Award and be recognized by such a renowned organization known for its social justice. I come from a working class background, family, and growing up, I knew that I would be doing something in service of others. Nurses do that every day, so I fulfilled that mission. To do the best for our patients, we know that we must fight, be advocates, and fight in Albany, in the streets, in Washington, D.C. And we see that COVID did not create socioeconomic injustices, but what it did do, what it did do was further reveal and magnify them in painful detail and consequence. Nationally, people of color died from COVID-19 at 2 times, and in some states, 3 times the rate of white patients. Black Americans, we know, have a higher rate of healthcare issues, which include diabetes, heart and lung disease. Just last year, the New York Professional Nurses Union went to Albany with other healthcare professionals to advocate and shed light on the United Health Group, which is currently under investigation, and they for using an algorithm that resulted in less care for patients, Black patients with more complex health disease. As nurses, we are on the front. We are on the front line. I beg your pardon. As nurses, we are on the front line fighting multiple pandemics. We have hopefully reached a pivotal moment in our nation's history. We must force the people in power to recognize these issues and how they intersect. So tonight, I proudly accept this award, not just as a nurse, but as a unionized nurse. I think organizing together, we will never stop fighting the pandemic's harmful effect on our communities, and we look forward to partnering with the workers group to get this done.
Thank you.
Thank you
both.
so
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you. Thank you.
And really,
Yeah.
we just want to say we will never stop thanking all of you. And we're so glad that you're unionized and that you're out there fighting for all of us.
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you.
Thank
The world is a better place. So now we're talking about how we're going to keep our future strong, and whether they're educating teens at our Youth Stand Up for Justice Good Trouble workshops, hosting intergenerational meetings with national leaders, making thousands of voter rights phone banking calls, or marching in the streets under the Young Jews for a Green New Deal banner. Our Workers' Circle College Network is a dynamic force for justice and equality. I am always, every day, inspired by their ingenuity and passion, and I'm so proud to be able to help them grow as a community and as leaders of our organization and as leaders of our progressive movement. I'm thrilled now to introduce Jonathan Taubes, our social justice organizer, and Noah Barron, a student leader and college coordinator at New York University, who will speak about their experiences and hopes for the future of the Workers' Circle.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Taubes. I'm the social justice organizer at the Workers' Circle. In addition to helping run Youth Stand Up for Justice, the Workers' Circle's team programming, and helping brainstorm and execute all of our social justice campaigns, I manage the Workers' Circle College Network and also Young Jews for a Green New Deal.
Hi everyone, I'm Noah Barron, and I'm a senior at NYU, where I study Jewish studies and public policy. And I'm also a college organizer with the Workers' Circle, as well as a voting rights organizer. I was at a protest for CIW, the Coalition of Immokalee Workers, with some classmates, and I saw someone holding a sign. This someone was Jonathan, that said, "Jewish culture for a just world." I went up to him and I was like, "This is the coolest thing. There's a Jewish organization here. What's going on? Please tell me more." Jonathan and I exchanged emails. We met up for coffee. I have been longing for some kind of space where I could connect with peers like myself who are just like really excited about making the world better and also really excited about Jewish identity. And we really have built that space. We now have hundreds of members. We do discussions, events, advocacy, we do direct action, and we really aim to advance all sorts of social justice issues, from worker rights to immigrant rights to racial justice to economic justice. And one way we do that right now is through our Young Jews for a Green New Deal network, which really combines, I feel like, all the aspects of social justice. For me, climate justice is racial justice, it is immigrant rights, it is worker justice. I think there's something really special about creating a Jewish space for college students that actually grounds our advocacy in an understanding of history and an understanding of the present reality.
Watching the college network has just really been an incredible thing of seeing how younger generations in real time are taking the history of the Jewish left and the history of Yiddish culture and really making it their own.
I think we're one of the few groups, or maybe the only group that I know of that does that.
We've had really incredible growth the last year and a half, but we know there's so much more to be done. Again, we're in dozens of campuses across the country, but the fact is that this is a necessary space for so many people. And not just during the pandemic, but as we transition out of it, the hunger for progressive Jewish communities on campus, for the politics that we can offer, the cultural engagement we can offer, I've seen that hunger. And so we're gonna keep bringing it to people, and we need resources to be able to do that. We wanna expand Young Jews for a Green New Deal, continue to engage folks in this important climate advocacy work, and we wanna continue engaging academics and artists who connect Yiddish culture with the realities that young Jews are facing in their lives today.
The college network would really not be possible without all of your support. So I want to thank everyone who's already made gifts on our behalf, which really make this work able to happen. We're really able to do this because of you. I want to let you know that when you donate towards tonight's benefits, you are directly supporting youth activists like myself and making it possible for me to dream big and change the world and actually get stuff done while also connecting to Yiddishkeit and Jewish identity.
To everyone watching tonight, please invest in the Workers' Circle's future, invest in the progressive Jewish future by making a contribution today.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Gonscher, and I'm speaking to you this evening from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm located far away from my friends at the Workers' Circle who are across the country, but I can tell you that our connection, both historically and emotionally, is as close as if we were all in the very same room. Like many of you, my grandparents, Solomon and Sophie Gottlieb, entered this country through Ellis Island during the first decade of the 20th century. That's over 110 years ago. The family story is that my grandfather fled the Bialystok pogroms with no formal education, no definable skills, and no knowledge of the English language, and came to America. A short time later, a young Jewish woman was sent by her family to America to meet the man that they had arranged for her to marry. And they settled in the Lower East Side, where my mother, Dottie, and her brothers and sisters were raised. Their adjustment to America, learning the language, finding work to support the family, and building a community in an entirely new land would not have occurred if it were not for the generosity of the Workers' Circle. This is one of the reasons why I agreed to speak this evening and why I chose to support the Workers' Circle in my will as a member of the Workers' Circle Legacy Society for Kiddushite, and to continue to support the organization annually in a meaningful way. As a connected community, we can all use the strength of the Workers' Circle to make a real change in this world. It's what we've always done. It's what all of us do today, and it's what we will all continue to do in the future. This year, my family will be sponsoring an undergraduate student at my college, Arizona State University, to be the Workers' Circle first Arizona-based social justice intern. This young person will have a distance learning experience with the Workers' Circle to learn grassroots activism, community networking, coalition building, the legislative process, both on the federal and the local level, and student outreach, both nationally and in Arizona. So just as my grandparents' history extended from the East Coast to Phoenix at mid-century, my legacy and that of my wife, Barbara, and my sons, Charles and Aaron, is reaching back across the country to the place where it all started, the Workers' Circle. Tonight, we have viewed some wonderful performances, and we've heard stories from the front lines of the pandemic, from the viewpoint of those who were working to save lives, and we're very proud of them. You've heard about the remarkable achievements of the Workers' Circle, but there are still more inspiring stories and performances to come this evening. But now it's time to focus just for a moment on why we are all here tonight. This is the Workers' Circle main fundraising event of the year. Already we've raised more than $75,000, but our goal is to raise $100,000 to ensure we have the capacity to prepare the next generation of progressive Jewish activists to carry out that work. I love the term progressive Jewish activists. It means so much to all of us. So we're calling on all of you to help us raise the additional $25,000 to reach our goal. You will see donation buttons on your screen. Please click on the amount that you wish to give, or you can write in any amount you want. Any donation you want to make, any donation that makes you comfortable will be greatly appreciated and certainly will be put to good use. Your contribution will support hundreds of students as they participate in activist training sessions and events during the year. It will introduce them to people who are directly impacted by the issues that we all talk about every day, that advance such things as racial justice, a Green New Deal, workers' rights, and immigrant rights. And it will equip them with organizing tools and skills to make real, and more importantly, lasting impact on their communities. So I encourage you to give as generously as you can and help us empower the next generation to be effective progressive activists who will carry on the mission to build a better world for all of us. Thank you for listening and watching tonight.
We'd like to thank the nurses, first responders, and all the frontline workers for their heroic courage during the pandemic.
Without them, we couldn't have made it through this once-in-a-lifetime crisis. As a previous honoree of the Workers' Circle, I'm happy to see such a deserving group as the New York Professional Nurses Union be honored by this incredible organization.
A big thank you again to all of our frontline and healthcare workers, and a special thank you to NYPNU for helping keep New York safe during this critical time.
Thank you again. It's so wonderful to be joined tonight by so many friends. And I want to do a special thank you to the Rogans. They are an amazing family, and they have continued to be a part of our community since even before we honored them in 2019. They were very, very insistent to be a part of this event honoring our frontline heroes. So thank you to the entire Rogan Mishpacha. Before we close out our performances for the evening, I want to again thank all of you who've joined us tonight. I want to thank our sponsors who have helped us come very close to our goal, and to share that we're up to $88,000 in funds, and we still have 12,000 more to go. We're happy to accept more, but you still have an opportunity to support our organization, to support our critical work, even as the last performances are played. So thank you to everyone who's made a donation so far. And I want to thank all of our incredible performers and presenters. You've helped make this a meaningful and a wonderful night for all of us. So I'm going to now introduce Daniel Kahn to sing once again.
Shalom Aleichem, noch einmal. Here's a Yiddish song which was originally written in English, so I had to reconstruct an imaginary Yiddish original. Nigen wie a Song, was David hat gespielt vor Gott, nur dir wollt's nicht gewähn, als a Yeshua. Und man singt a so a Fa-Song, a Mishaberach heit a Kol, der Duller Melech weht. Ihr Gein und die Levone, dein Refuhe. Und sie nimmt dein Guff, sie nimmt dein Kopf, sie schneidet von deiner Haar a Zop und zieht von Meul a Rob, a Halleluja. Und heire, ich kenn dein Stil, ich bin geschlafen auf dein Deal, ich hab kein Mal nicht gelebt. Mit Ersatz nur. Und ich seh dein Schloss, ich seh dein Form, a Herz ist nicht kein Melechs Thron, es ist a kalte und a kalte Halleluja. Und Teil. Wie am Auto sagen wir uns, was tut sich dort in dein Scheuß, du wurscht darf sich schämen wie a Psule. Und gedenk, wie ich hab in dir geruht, wie die Schiene glut in unser Blut und jeder Atem tut a Halleluja. So sei mein Gott ist gar nicht da und Liebe soll sein Kolmen roh, a Puster Träum zerbrochen und Mechule. Nicht kein Gewein in Mitternacht, nicht kein Bald rufst du mich mit Shem Hawaii lästerich, nur Meile, ich der war nicht kein Gewule. Nur es brennt sich heiß in jeden Nuss, von Alef Beis, Gor bis in Sof, die Heilige und Kalle Halleluja. Das ist alles, es ist nicht kein Sach. Ich mach derweil, was ich mach. Ich komm da wie ein Mensch, nicht kein Schaluje. Ich hat's alles verloren, sei wie sei. Will ich verleugnen Adonai und schreien, will ich heim. Halleluja. Schönen Dank, L'chaim und Mazel Tov und bleibt gesund und stark.